gonna say a word. Just watch.
Hello, welcome to the podcast of Kabbalah Vision, the connection point between the order of the invisible world and our souls. I am Luri, your guide who will accompany you on this journey of wisdom today. Welcome back to the deep dive.
So imagine water that is so incredibly hot. It doesn't just drown a person.
Okay.
It scalds. Like it literally peels the skin right from the bone.
Wow. That is definitely not the nursery school version of Noah's Ark that I grew up with.
No, it's really not. The Midrash and the Zohar, they describe these floodwaters not merely as, a heavy rainstorm,
Right.
but as boiling, pressurized currents rising up from the deep.
A complete cosmic reset.
Exactly, pressed by Elohim. It's judgment in its absolute, unadulterated, rawest form.
Which is a terrifying image to start with, honestly.
It is, and it perfectly sets the stage for exactly where we're going today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into Genesis chapter 7.
But strictly through the lens of the Zohar and the Lurianic writings.
Right.
And for our listener today, we know you've been with us for the analysis of Genesis 1 through 6. So we know you are fluent in the language of Kabbalah.
Yeah, we respect your expertise.
So we are making a pact right now.
Right.
We are not going to stop to define the alphabet.
No training wheels today.
Yeah.
We aren't going to explain what the Sephiros are. We aren't defining Zir Anpin or Nukva.
You know the cast of characters.
Exactly. We are jumping straight into the mechanics of the system to answer your specific questions about the embarkation, the nature of the waters, and the severity of that judgment.
So let's start right there with the embarkation. Genesis 7, Noah enters the ark.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's just a man walking up a ramp into a boat. But in the Zohar, this is a massive metaphysical event.
Oh, totally.
What is actually happening here under the hood?
It's a moment of cosmic union. The Zohar is very, very clear on this. The ark itself represents Malchut.
The kingdom, the feminine vessel,
Yes, the Nukva. And Noah. Noah represents Yesod,
foundation.
the righteous one.
Right.
So Noah entering the ark
It's the coupling of Yesod and Malchut.
it is the masculine principle entering the feminine vessel.
Yeah.
And the Zohar actually points out this fascinating narrative detail here. It says Noah could not produce offspring, and they're referring to the souls from the Garden of Eden until he entered the ark.
Wait, hold on. The text implies he had his 3 sons.
Right, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Already born before the flood. So what kind of offspring are we actually talking about here?
We're talking about spiritual viability. The offspring here refers to the souls, the continuity of the Adamic spark. The Zohar explains that all the souls that needed to survive the chaos,
The seed of humanity.
exactly, they had to be concealed within this specific vessel. The ark functions literally as a womb.
A womb. That changes the visual entirely. It's not just a lifeboat.
No,
It's an incubator.
precisely. It's a gestational space.
Hmm.
Because the chaos outside is the destruction of the old structure, and inside, Malchut is protecting the seed of the future.
And the Arizal takes this even further, right? With the anatomy of the image in Erzchaim.
He does. This is where the Lurianic concept of the soul's descent gets incredibly anatomical.
I was looking at the notes on this, and it's mind-blowing.
Right, so the Arizal explains that the soul descends through Zir Anpin.
Yeah.
It travels through the spinal cord, and he explicitly links the spinal cord to the imagery of the ship or the ark.
The spine is the ark.
Think about the function. The spine protects the cord, which carries the signal from the brain down to the rest of the body.
It is the conduit.
Exactly, it's the conduit. The Arizal says the embarkation is a code for this very specific alignment. The light travels down the spine to the thighs.
Which is the location of Yesod.
Right. The masculine principle, Yesod, has to align perfectly within Malchut to protect the seed from the klipot.
The klipot being the shells, the forces of chaos outside.
Exactly. They're hungry, they want to latch onto that light. The flood is the ultimate manifestation of the klipot, trying to overwhelm the system entirely.
So Noah, as Yesod, has to hide inside the ark
Inside Malchut.
to keep that connection pure.
Yeah. So when God says, come into the ark, he's really saying, align the Sephiroth.
Secure the connection.
Secure the connection between Yesod and Malchut, because everything outside of this alignment is about to be wiped completely clean.
That is exactly it. It's a command to lock down the circuit.
Yeah, down the circuit, I like that.
And that brings us to what is happening outside that circuit, the
Yeah.
waters themselves.
Right.
The text says the fountains of the great deep were broken up.
So in the Zohar, water is complex. Usually we associate water with cheesed.
loving kindness, flow.
It's the stuff of life. But here, the Zohar and the Arizal describe a catastrophic mixing. You have the upper waters, which are masculine.
Associated with Bina, or the mercy of the upper realms.
Yes. And you have the lower waters, which are feminine, associated with Malchut.
And in a functional, healthy universe, these two interact harmoniously.
Correct. The upper waters sweeten the lower waters. It's a perfect balance of giving and receiving.
But the flood?
The flood represents a crisis where these waters were mixed in a state of sheer chaos. Or, more specifically, the lower waters were separated from the sweetening influence of the male.
They basically went rogue.
They became unsweetened jivaro.
Severe judgments.
Severe judgments.
Yeah.
And this is where we get back to that boiling water I mentioned at the very top of the show.
Right, the measure for measure aspect.
Yeah.
You mentioned the water was scalding, peeling skin.
Yeah.
Why that specific detail? Why boiling?
Well, the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, which the Zohar often draws upon for this, connects this to the specific sin of that generation.
Okay.
They were spilling seed. They were wasting the potential of Yesod on the ground.
So it was a generation defined by hot, uncontrolled passion.
Sexual immorality, yes.
So because they acted with heat in their immorality.
The earth responded with heat. They spilled their potential on the earth, so the earth literally spilled boiling water back onto them.
That is a horrific symmetry.
It is. The Zohar suggests the waters were actually a mikveh.
A ritual bath.
A ritual bath, but a mikveh of pure severity.
A mikveh that cleanses by erasing.
Yes. I mean, normally, a mikveh brings life. It brings purity.
Yeah.
But here, the female waters were so harsh, so incredibly full of judgment, because they lacked that male sweetener.
The bath became a solvent.
Exactly. It dissolved existence.
That is a heavy, heavy concept. Unsweetened Devereaux. It's kind of like drinking lemon juice concentrate without the water and sugar. It just burns.
It's acid.
Nice.
Pure acid.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the name of God used throughout this entire section. You'll notice the text relies heavily on Elohim.
Which we know is the attribute of judgment, din.
Correct. The Zohar makes this fascinating contrast between the flood and the destruction of Sodom.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In Sodom, the text indicates that judgment was tempered. Zerampin was involved.
Right. Abraham negotiated. There was mercy mixed in there.
Exactly. But in the flood, it was Elohim alone. Judgment untempered by mercy.
And that explains the totality of it.
It explains why Noah had to hide. This is a crucial point the Zohar makes.
Okay.
When the destroyer, the Malchut, is given permission to strike, it does not distinguish between the righteous and the wicked.
It's blind.
It's completely blind. I think people often assume Noah was safe because he was a good guy, so the rain just sort of, I don't know, missed him.
Like he had a force field of righteousness around him.
Not at all. He was in mortal danger.
Wow.
He wasn't just avoiding getting wet. He was hiding from the attribute of judgment that was scouring the earth. If Noah had stepped out of that ark for 5 minutes...
He would have dissolved just like everyone else.
Exactly. His righteousness didn't make him immune to the mechanics of Elohim. His righteousness was what allowed him to enter the ark in the first place.
The ark was his cover.
It was his hazmat suit. He had to encase himself in the Shekinah to be shielded from the day of anger.
There is that really strange detail in the source material about the water rising 15 cubits above the mountains.
Yes.
The Arizal does some math on this that I really want you to break down for us.
He does. And this is where the Gemara meets metaphysics. Because you have to ask, why 15? Why not 20? Why not 50?
Right.
The Arizal connects the number 15 to the divine name Yah. Yadhai.
Because Yod is 10 and Hay is 5, so total 15.
Right. Usually Yah is associated with Chochmah and Bina, right?
Okay.
High levels of intellect and wisdom.
Yeah.
But in this context, the Arizal suggests it represents the subtraction or the absence of the 5 states of Jivaro when they are sweetened.
Okay, can you unpack that? Because that kind of sounds like the math of a vacuum.
Think of it exactly like a vacuum.
Mm.
The 15 cubits represent the space where the divine mercy should have been,
But wasn't.
but wasn't. It implies that the waters rose to the exact height of the absence of the divine name's sweetening presence.
Oh, wow. So it's a negative space defined by the judgment.
Yes,
The flood level is literally a measurement of how far God withdrew his mercy.
that is a chilling way to put it, but yes, exactly. And the Zohar adds another layer of destruction regarding the alphabet itself.
The reverse letters.
Yes, the Zohar mentions that the destruction was caused by the reverse order of the 22 Hebrew letters.
Like unspooling the code of creation.
Exactly. God spoke the world into existence with the letters. Let there be light, forward motion, creative syntax.
So to erase it.
You reverse the sequence. The flood was the active unraveling of the syntax of reality. It erased existence from the earth because the letters themselves were withdrawn or inverted.
So we have boiling water. We have untempered judgment. We have the unraveling of the alphabet. It really does feel like the absolute end.
It does.
But then the waters recede, the system reboots.
And this is where the restoration finally begins. The Zohar connects the decreasing of the waters to the seventh month.
Tishrei.
Right. The text says the waters didn't just drain away physically, they decreased continually. The Zohar sees a spiritual correlation here.
Okay.
As we approach Tishrei, which is the month of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, the waters, which represent the accusers or the sins, begin to diminish.
I recall a connection to the sacrifices of Sukkot in the notes.
Yes, this is such a beautiful mapping. During Sukkot, we used to bring 70 bullocks as sacrifices to the temple.
Corresponding to the 70 nations of the world.
Exactly. And the number of bullocks decreases each day of the holiday.
Yeah.
Day 1 is 13, day 2 is 12, and so on.
Mirroring the receding waters.
The Zohar links this explicitly. As the light of Bina, understanding, and Teshuvah, repentance, enters the world in Tishrei, the power of the accusers, the chaotic waters, recedes.
So when we sit in the sukkah,
We are effectively watching the floodwaters go down.
that is incredible. It's seeing the calendar as a reenactment of the flood and the receding waters every single year.
It is. And this brings us to the ultimate optimism of the Zohar.
Because it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all. The Zohar teaches that the more furious the initial chaos, the tohu,
Right.
the greater the order or tikkun that emerges from it.
Chaos is a prerequisite for a higher order.
The flood wasn't just a punishment. If we look at it through the Lurianic lens, it was a return to the seed state.
Okay.
The world had become corrupt. The vessel couldn't hold the light anymore. It was shattered. So it had to be dissolved back into a fluid state, the waters to be purified.
Like melting down gold to remove the impurities.
Or returning a fetus to the womb. It was a painful, horrific purification. But it was completely necessary to allow a new Zir Ampin and Nukva relationship to form.
So the ark wasn't just saving the old world,
Yeah.
it was the gestation of a new one.
Precisely. It was a return to the original intellectual construct, what the Kabbalists call ima or bina. When a structure is deeply flawed, you can't just patch it
You have to melt it down to the raw material.
and cast it again. That is what the flood was.
This really redefines the whole story. It shifts it from a Sunday school story about a boat and some animals to a profound story about the fundamental mechanics of how the universe processes failure and renewal.
And it highlights the role of the righteous one, the tzaddik,
Yeah.
is the bridge. Noah didn't save the world by fighting the waters.
Right.
He saved it by entering the inner sanctum of Malchut and waiting.
And we haven't even touched on the rainbow yet.
Oh, the rainbow.
In this whole system of order from chaos, where does the rainbow actually fit in?
Well, the rainbow is the proof that the system works again.
Okay.
In the pre-flood world, the light was too intense, too direct. That's why they lived so long. But it's also why their passions were so hot and destructive.
Ah, got it.
The rainbow represents refraction.
Breaking the light into colors.
Exactly. It represents boundaries. It represents the Sephiro finally functioning as a filter, separating and categorizing the light so it doesn't overwhelm the vessel.
So the rainbow is the sign that Malchut can now handle the flow from Zir Ampin without shattering.
Yes.
It's the installation of a new operating system that manages the power supply better.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's unpack the big takeaways here because we've covered some serious ground for you today.
We really have.
First, the Ark isn't just a boat, it's Malchut. It's a womb, a place of union where Yesod, which is Noah, protects the future seeds of humanity.
Right. It's a biological and spiritual containment unit.
Second, the waters. Not just rain, but unsweetened guvero. Boiling, chaotic, judgment-heavy water that mirrors the heated passion of the generation's sins. Measure for measure.
And third, the absolute strictness of Elohim. The idea that once judgment is unleashed, it is blind.
They're destroying.
Destroyer requires us to hide, to take cover within the spiritual structures, the ark, until the fury passes.
It really gives a totally new meaning to riding out the storm. It's about spiritual concealment for the sake of survival.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the provocative thought for you listening is this.
Okay.
The Zohar suggests that we all have arcs. We all go through floods.
Well, floods.
Exactly. Moments of chaos, of din, where our personal world feels like it's dissolving or just boiling over. trauma, crisis, grief.
Yeah,
And usually our instinct is to fight the water,
to swim harder.
to build a raft.
We try to engage the chaos directly.
But the Zohar suggests that sometimes the correct spiritual response is actually to enter the ark, to conceal yourself in Vina, in understanding, in the inner world, to retreat into the taiva, which means ark, but it also means word.
Into the words of prayer or study.
Yes. You don't hide in fear. You hide to incubate. You protect the seed of what you are going to become.
Wow.
Because when the waters finally recede, and they always recede, you aren't just a survivor. You are a new creation ready to build a new world.
So when the judgment is roaming the world, you don't engage it. You go inward.
You go inward. You protect the seed.
That is a powerful place to leave it. For everyone listening, take a look at the floods in your own life. Maybe it's time to stop treading water and start building your ark. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time.
Sound disappears, but the wisdom contained within remains as light. Today's deep dive ends here. Producer Talmud K, and we will see you next time with deeper insights. Peace be with you all.
Peace be with you all.
알겠어. 진짜 말로 하는 게 아니야. Under the tongue, just prove it.